Hello, grade 10. We're going to be talking today about doing application problems or word problems on your calculator. So get your calculator ready and go along with me on your calculator as I do the steps. What we're trying to do today is to solve everything on our calculator without writing a whole lot of uh, mathematical steps down. Okay, so let's get started on the first question. The first question says the weekly profit for company XYZ can be expressed by, here is your function right here, where P is the weekly profit in euros and N is the number of units sold per week. It's always really important to remember what kind of units you're talking about. So it is number of units is N and weekly profit in euros is P. So if you think about it, the P is the Y value and the N value is the X value. So let's get started. How much profit will be made if no units are sold? So the first thing you should do on these problems is to put the function into your calculator. Okay, so we're going to go to Applications, Function, and I already have this function in my calculator in F1. So you should stop the video right now and put it in because I'm just going to keep going. So how much profit will be made if no units are sold? So if no units are sold, what really they're saying is that N is equal to 0. And we can find this on our calculator on the table. So let's just go right to the table, and we want to actually go to here, we want to jump to an X value of 0. So enter that, and we know that in our table right here, when X is equal to 0, F1, where I've put my function, is equal to 185. So the answer over here is the P will be equal to 185 when N is equal to 0. What is the maximum possible weekly profit? So in order to do that, let's take a look at the plot. So I can look at this and see what this function looks like when it is plotted. It's a quadratic that looks like this, and we know that the maximum is right here. Okay, so this right here, I got this view by actually going to View and doing Auto Scale. So you can also use your touch screen to get a better look at what this function looks like. On this calculator, I can't use the touch screen, so my function, I'll just leave it looking like this. So we actually want to look for the maximum, and the maximum is right here because the maximum possible weekly profit is right there. In order to do that, we're going to go to Menu, Function, and these are the extremum. Okay, so we have right here, this value right here is the extremum, and we know that X values are the number of units sold and the Y value is profit. So the maximum profit right here I can write down as 1465 euros. Okay, so how many units need to be sold per week to make the maximum profit? That's just this 8 right here. Okay, so we are already done there, and we know we have 8 units. How much weekly profit will be made if 11 units are sold? So now they're asking us if we put in N equal to 11, what is that profit? We're going back now to the table, and this time we want to look for X equal to 11, and that is 1285 euros. Sorry for my bad writing. How many units should be made to make a profit of 1400? Okay, so this is a little bit trickier because if we go to our table, 1400 isn't exactly there, right? So let's do this as an intersection. So because what we're really asking is if I replace P with 1400 units, what is my N going to be in F1? So if I look where these two things are equal and I put 1400 in F2, I can get my answer. So let's go to the function, and in F2, let's put in 1400. Whoops, 1400. Enter, and then let's plot that. So if you look way up here at the top, this red line right here is where 1400 is, and you can see that there are 2 places where we can make a profit of 1400. So let's find both those. Or do we really need to find both of those? Actually, this is where we're making fewer units for the same profit as right here where we're making more units. So we really need to only find this right here where we're making fewer units for the same profit. So let's go to Menu, Function, Intersection, And you can see right here that the intersection is 1400 and 6.19. So if we make 6 units, will that be enough to make 1400? No, it was 6.19, so we need to actually make, I'm going to erase that here and put 7 units down there, right? Because if we make 7, then we're going to make a profit of over 1400. So what is the maximum number of units that can be sold without making a loss? So what does that mean? A loss is when your profit is negative. So if we look at this as our graph of negative, we know that this right here is the point where it's going negative, right? Where it crosses the x-axis, we have the profit here is positive and here it's negative. And this is our x-intercept. So we go to Menu, Function, and the x-intercept is your root. And this root right here is 16.55. So the maximum number of units that can be sold without making a loss would be 16 units, right? Because we'd have to go down. We wouldn't go to 17 because then we would be making a loss, so it would be 16.5 units. 16 units altogether. So let's go to the second question. We have one more here. A rumor spreads through a group of teenagers according to the exponential model. N is equal to 2 times 1.8 to the 0.7 t, where n, again, let's look at what our units are. N is the number of teenagers who've heard the rumors, and t is in hours after it first started. So again, the first thing you want to do is go to your calculator and put it in as a function. So I already have it down here. I'm going to turn those off, and I have it in F4 right here, okay? So you can actually put this in F1 and clear your calculator, but turn off the video now and get the function in. So find the number of teenagers who started the rumor. And since it's t hours after it first started, again, we're looking where t is equal to 0. And I can find that on my table. So I'm going to go to my table, and as you can see right here, these are the different x values, and this right here is F4. So it's showing me where F4 is, and again, I want to say when x was 0, there were actually 2 teenagers who had started the rumor. Then it says write down the number of teenagers who have heard the rumor 5 hours after it started. Again, we're looking for t equals 5. We're going to go right to our table again. We're still here, and it is 15.95. And since this isn't a whole person, we're going to round down here. So our answer then would be approximately 15 teenagers. Okay. Now we're going to say determine the length of time it would take for 150 teenagers to have heard the rumor. So we're going to again do an intersection here. I'm going to go to my apps function, and I'm going to put here in F5, put that on, hello, no, 150. And again, I'm going to look for the intersection between this function and that function, because that's where we know that 150 teenagers have heard the rumor. I'm going to go to my plot, and you can see here's my plot, and here's the 150, and I'm looking for that intersection. So I go Menu, Function, Intersection, okay, and we get 10.3953. So let's say that we have approximately 10.4. And what was our units in time? Hours. Okay. Those are 2 problems that are, you can see that I wrote down very little math there, and I did the whole thing on the calculator. So you can do a lot of these application problems on your calculator. However, when you are doing a criteria A test, you're going to want to show a little bit of work in case you make a mistake. Okay, so right here, if we wanted to show, for example, our work on the calculator, you would show it by doing this, putting in the function and saying this right here, and then showing right here that this intersection was 10.4 and 150. Okay, so that's how you show your work. If you want to show here your work while you're only using the calculator, you would actually show your table. Okay, so the table you would go through and you would show your table, and your work would be like this. It would be T and then N here, and we know that we have 0 and 2. You could do it like that, and that shows that you've used your table. And you can, again here with t equals to 5, you can either show your table or you can show the fact that you have put in n is equal to 2 times 1.81 times 0.7 times 5 right there, right? So that's the way that you would show your work. Okay, so even though you are using your calculator, you would have to show your work on a criteria A test. Okay, thanks.